Mimpi burukmu di mana telah ku tancapkan duri tajam. Kau pun menangis, menangis sedih. Maafkan aku, lupakanlah saja diriku bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala. Dan bukan maksudku, bukan inginku melukaimu. Sadarkah kau di sini ku pun terluka, melupakanmu, menepikanmu. Maafkan aku, lupakanlah saja diriku bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala. Caci maki saja diriku bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala. Dan bila esok datang kembali seperti sedia kala, di mana kau bisa bercanda dan perlahan kau pun lupakan aku. Mimpi burukmu di mana telah ku tancapkan duri tajam. Kau pun menangis, menangis sedih. Maafkan aku, lupakanlah saja diriku bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala. Dan bukan maksudku, bukan inginku melukaimu. Sadarkah kau di sini ku pun terluka, melupakanmu, menepikanmu. Maafkan aku, lupakanlah saja diriku bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala. Caci maki saja diriku bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala. Dan bila esok datang kembali seperti sedia kala, di mana kau bisa bercanda dan perlahan kau pun lupakan aku. Mimpi burukmu di mana telah ku tancapkan duri tajam. Kau pun menangis, menangis sedih. Maafkan aku, lupakanlah saja diriku, bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala. Dan bukan maksudku, bukan inginku melukaimu. Sadarkah kau di sini ku pun terluka, melupakanmu, menepikanmu. Maafkan aku, lupakanlah saja diriku, bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala. Caci maki saja diriku, bila itu bisa
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to inviting all the passengers to turn on their camera and we will begin today's conference. Okay, good morning everyone. I'm Nafi and I'll be the moderator for today's conference. First of all, I would like to thank to all passengers and participants joining this conference. Before we start the presentation, I would like to inform you that there will be three presenters for today's conference. The parallel session will be divided into two sections. 20 minutes for presentation, continue with 20 minutes for question and answer. In question and answer session, judges will first deliver their question and then followed by other questions from other students and audience. You may turn on the raise hand feature in Zoom or deliver your question on the chat section. The presenter will answer the question right away. Without any further ado, I will welcome our first presenter, Fanny Aryanti Santosa from Universitas Sanmata Dharma, presenting her case about an analysis of musical devices applied in Let It Go and Lepaskan. Fanny, the floor is yours.
Okay, so good morning, Mr. Haris, judges, and all audience. My name is Fanny Aryanti Santosa. Today I'm going to present my research entitled An Analysis of Musical Devices Applied in Let It Go and Lepaskan. As social beings, we need to interact with the others through language. However, there are various languages in this world. Therefore, we need media to help us understand other languages. Translation is one of them. Newmark, in his book entitled Approaches to Translation, defines translation as a craft consisting the attempt to replace a written message and or a statement in one language by the same message or statement in other language. From the definition, it can be concluded that translation is an activity of delivering a written message from one language to another language without adding or reducing its message. This study is going to analyze the song lyric of Let It Go, known as the soundtrack of Disney movie entitled Frozen in 2013. Based on Frozen fandom, the song has been translated into 41 different languages, including Indonesian. In Indonesian version, the title becomes Lepaskan. The research question of this study is, what musical devices are applied in the song lyric of Let It Go and Lepaskan? And the objective of the study is to find out the musical devices applied in the song lyric of Let It Go and Lepaskan. The research focuses on analysis of musical devices applied in the song lyric of Let It Go and Lepaskan. There are two objects of this study. The first one is the song lyric of Let It Go sung by Demi Lovato, and the second one is the song lyric of Lepaskan sung by Anggun, Regina, Cindy Bernadette, Noella, and Cila Kiana. The method applied in this research is categorized as qualitative research. Furthermore, to examine the musical device, the researcher uses library method and explicatory method. Musical device has close relation with poems. However, musical device can be applied also in songs. Both songs and poems are written in lines or verses and divided into stanzas. Kennedy and Joya, in their book entitled Literature, An Introduction to Fiction, Poetry, Drama, and Writing, state that many familiar poems began life as songs, but today their tunes forgotten. From the statement, it can be concluded that songs with no tunes are called poems, while poems that are filled with melody are called songs. Thus, the thing that differs songs and poems is the tune or melody. Art and Johnson, in their book entitled Perrin's Literature, Structure, Sound, and Sense, state that there are some aspects of musical devices. The first one is alliteration. Alliteration is defined as repetition of initial consonant sounds. The example can be seen from this sentence. The sentence contains alliteration because there are repetition of the same initial consonant sound b in big, beli, beats, baby, and boy words. The second one is assonance. Assonance is defined as repetition of vowel sounds. The example can be seen from this sentence. The sentence contains assonance since the sentence has the same vowel sound E in the words steering, engineer, and steer. The third one is consonance. Consonance is defined as repetition of final consonant sounds. The example can be seen from this sentence. The sentence contains consonants because the sentence has the same final consonant sound l in all and well. The fourth type is rhyme. Rhyme is defined as repetition of this accented vowel sound and any consonant sounds. Rhyme is divided into 5 types. The first type is masculine rhyme. Masculine rhyme is a rhyme which involves one syllable. The example can be seen from this sentence. The sentence contains masculine rhyme because the word mouse and house have only one syllable with the same vowel sound ow. The second type is feminine rhyme. Feminine rhyme is a rhyme which involves 2 or more syllables. The example can be seen from this sentence. The sentence contains feminine rhyme because the words whistles and measles both have two syllables with the same vowel sounds E, long E. The third type is internal rhyme. Internal rhyme is a rhyme when one or more rhyming words are within the line. The example can be seen from this sentence. The sentence contains internal rhyme because the words double, trouble, and bubble have the same vowel sound A. The fourth type is end rhyme. End rhyme is a rhyme when the rhyming words are at the end of lines. The example can be seen from the exception of poem entitled In Flanders Field by Colonel John McCrae. The word low, row, and below are rhyming and having the same vowel sound O, while sky and fly are having the same vowel sound I. The fourth type is approximate rhyme. Approximate rhyme, or sometimes also called slant rhyme, is a rhyme which includes words with any kind of sound similarity. The example can be seen from the sentences taken from the poem entitled Arms and the Boy by Wilfred Owen. Those sentences contain approximate rhyme because the final words blade and blood have the same final consonant sound, b, l, and d, and the difference is in the vowel sound a for blade and a for blood. The last type of musical device is refrain. Refrain is defined as a rhyme when the whole words, phrases, lines, or groups of lines are repeated in a fixed pattern. The example can be seen from the poem entitled Winter from William Shakespeare. Now we come to the analysis of musical devices applied in Let It Go and Lepaskan. Chart 1 shows musical devices applied in the song lyric of Let It Go. Chart 2 shows musical devices applied in the song lyric of Lepaskan. In the ST of the third line, there are three musical devices. The first one is internal rhyme that can be seen in snow and blows, which are rhyming and having the same vowel sound O. The second one is consonants that can be seen in on and mountain, which have the same final consonant sound N. Also in white and tonight, which have the same final consonant sound T. And the third musical device are is and rhyme that can be seen in the word tonight, which is rhyming with the word inside in the fourth line and having the same vowel sound I. Meanwhile, in the titi, there are two musical devices. The first one is alliteration that can be seen in merenda and malam, which have the same initial consonant sound moh. And the second one is and rhyme that can be seen in the word malam, which is rhyming with the word terlihat in the second line and having the same vowel sound a. Based on the analysis, the translator is unable to maintain the whole musical devices of the lyric in the ST, but only able to maintain the and rhyme from the ST into TT. In the second line, there are two musical devices of each text. In the ST, there are consonants and rhyme. Consonants can be seen in the words not and footprint, which have the same final consonant sound T, and the second one is and rhyme that can be seen in the word scene, which is rhyming with the word queen in the third line and having the same vowel sound E, long E. Meanwhile, in the TT, there are alliteration and rhyme. Alliteration can be seen in the word tanpa and terlihat, which have the same initial consonant sound T, and the second one is and rhyme that can be seen in the word terlihat, which is rhyming with the word malam in the first line and having the same vowel sound A. Based on the analysis, the translator is still unable to maintain the whole musical devices, but only maintain the end rhyme from the ST into TT. In the ST of the third line, there are three musical devices. The first one is consonants that can be found in the words kingdom and I'm. by the same final consonant sound m. Also isolation and queen by the same final consonant sound n. And the second one is alliteration in the words looks and like, which have the same initial consonant sound l. And the third one is and rhyme that can be seen in the word queen, which is rhyming with the word sin in the second line and having the same vowel sound e, long e. In the titi, there are consonants and rhyme. Consonants can be seen in the words bagaikan and kerajaan, which have the same final consonant sound nah. And the second one is and rhyme that can be seen in the word terasing, which is rhyming with the word diri in the fourth line and having the same vowel sound e. From the analysis, the translator only failed to maintain the alliteration. The consonants and rhyme can be maintained. In the ST of the fourth line, there are three musical devices. The first one is assonance that can be seen in the words wind, howling, and swirling by the same vowel sound E. And the second one is alliteration in the words swirling and storm by the same initial consonant sound S. And the third one is and rhyme by the word inside, which is rhyming with the word tonight in the first line and having the same vowel sound I. In the TT, there are two musical devices. The first one is alliteration in the word bak and badai, which have the same initial consonant sound b. Also in dalam and diri, which have the same initial consonant sound d. And the second one is and rhyme that can be seen in the word diri, which is rhyming with the word terasing in the third line and having the same vowel sound e. The translator is able to maintain the alliteration of the ST into TT. However, the assonance is failed to be maintained and the translator adds and rhyme in the TT. In the third line, there are three musical devices in the TT, in the ST, and one musical device in the TT. In the ST, there are consonants, alliteration, and rhyme. The first one is consonants that can be seen in the words in, thin, and can, which have the same final consonant sound n. And the second one is alliteration that can be seen in the word the and thin, which have the same initial consonant sound t, and also cold and can, which have the same initial consonant sound ch. And the second one is and rhyme that can be seen in the word breathe, which is rhyming in the word grief in the sixth line and having the same vowel sound e, long e. In the TT, there is and rhyme that can be seen in the word bernafas, which is rhyming with the word menyesal in the sixth line and having the same vowel sound a. The translator, again, unable to maintain the musical devices in the ST. Musical devices is in the ST are changed in amount and aspect. In the sixth line, there are three musical devices of each text. In the ST, there are consonants, alliteration, and rhyme. Consonants can be seen from the word behind and relieved by the same final consonant sound d. And the second one is alliteration that can be seen in the words left and life, which have the same initial consonant sound l, and also the word to and to by the same initial consonant sound t. And the third one is and rhyme that can be seen in the word grief, which is rhyming with the word breathe in the fifth line and having the same vowel sound e, long e. In the TT, consonants can be seen in the words kutinggalkan and kenangan, which have the same final consonant sound n. And the second one is alliteration that can be seen in the word kutinggalkan, kenangan, and ku, which have the same initial consonant sound ke, and also tapi and tak, which have the same initial consonant sound te. The third one is end rhyme that can be seen in the word menyesal, which is rhyming with the word bernafas in the fifth line and having the same vowel sound a. Based on the analysis, the translator is successful to maintain the whole musical devices from the ST into TT. Based on the analysis, there are three musical devices applied both in the ST and TT, which are alliteration, consonance, and end rhyme. However, there are assonance and internal rhyme which applied only in the ST. The most frequent musical device occur is end rhyme, which are 33% for the ST and 51% for the TT. There are still some other works that can be analyzed using Perrin's theory of musical devices. However, this study is only analyzing one song among many songs in the world. This study can be used as a reference for researcher who wants to conduct a similar topic with this study. There are still some aspects that can be analyzed in the songs. Other researchers can add more theories in order to create more various aspects that can be analyzed. In addition, other researchers can apply some other journals, books, and articles to strengthen the theories. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fanny, for the presentation. Now we have 20 minutes for question and answer session. Judges, you may deliver your question first. Judges from Group 3, Kenny, KJ, and Ilham, you may deliver your question. Once again, the judges from Group 3, you may deliver your question.
Okay, I would like to ask, so you say that assonance, such in your presentation, the example of assonance is the engineer has the steering to steer the vehicle. So I see in your fifth stanza, are the words menjauh dan menjauhkan also can be considered as assonance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, KJ. Fanny, you may answer the question, I believe.
Okay, the words menjauh and menjauhkan can also be considered as assonance because those words have the same vowel sound a, and u. Yeah, those words can be considered as assonance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, KJ and Fanny. We can move on to the second question from Kenny or Ilham.
Hello, Fanny.
Hi.
First of all, thank you for your presentation. I want to ask you that I'm still confused about rhyme and consonants. What if the similar sound occurs on the last part of the sentence too?
Okay, Fanny, you may answer the question from Kenny too.
Can you repeat your question, please? I'm sorry.
What is the differences between rhyme and consonants? And what if the similar sound occurs on the last part of the sentence too? Is it considered as rhyme or consonants?
The vowel
No.
or
The similar sound occurs on the last sentence too. On
similar
the part,
sounds.
yeah.
Okay. The difference between consonants and rhyme is consonants always occurs at the end of a word. At the end of a word, and consonants doesn't involve vowel, while rhyme can occur at the beginning, at the middle, or in the end of a sentence, and rhyme involves vowel also. If the same sound occurs at the end of at the end of lines, it considered as rhyme. To be detailed, the rhyme is an rhyme.
Okay.
Is it answers your question?
Yeah, Fanny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fanny and Timigo. And we will move on to the last question from judges. Ilham, you may deliver your question. Once again, Ilham, the judges from group 3, you may deliver your question to Fanny. Okay, Ilham is not responding right now. We will move on to the individual question. We have two questions. First is from Terhari Setiaji, and his question is, what is the definition of end rhyme? And Fanny, you may answer Terhari's question right away.
And rhyme is defined as a rhyme when the rhyming words are at the end of lines.
Okay, Fanny, thank you for answering Terhari's question. And we move on to the second question, from William Milka. I will read it for you. Milka asks, I'm still thinking about the significance of musical device, to the translation. How significant do you think musical device to the translation? Fanny, you may answer Milka question.
Okay. In translating a song, the translator does not only pay attention to the meaning, but also the elements that are exist in the source language, because when the translator translating a song, the and musical device is one of the elements that is exist in the song. If the translator translate certain song, then the musical device must be paid attention, because it takes role in the song and um, and for example, like in the ST, there are there are assonance, alliteration, and consonants. If and the TT, there is only consonants. The difference of the difference amount of the musical device gives impact to the song, to the feeling, to the level of beauty of the song. So it has quite important significance in the translated songs. Is it answer your question, Milka?
Yes, Fanny, I understand it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fanny and Milka. Fanny, we have some question from Mr. Hari Tadi. Again, sorry. Sir Hari said that in your analysis, it seems that some of the lines are not and rhyme. You may answer this question.
I would like to share my screen again once again.
Okay.
Here in the scene word it has it is rhyming with the word queen, and because those words have the same vowel sound, and those words are at the end of lines. And
Okay.
some of
The lines terlihat and malam, I think that's not and rhyme. At and
those words have the same vowel sound at the end of line.
Terlihat and malam.
Oh, terlihat and malam. Yeah, those words have the same vowel sound have the same vowel sound at the end of the words. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, Fanny, I can hear your voice.
Sir, does it answer your question?
Okay. Sir Haris have responded on the chat section. And thank you,
Oh, okay.
Fanny. Okay, I will give some time to some individuals to deliver their question. Individual for the students and audience, you may deliver your question. Okay, because there is no more question. Thank you, Fanny, once again. And I will welcome the second presenter, Tarani Nevi Permatasari from Universitas Sanata Dharma to deliver her paper about strategies applied in the contemporary Indonesian poetry fine collection by Harry Eveling with special reference to Bayangan by Ayib Rossi. Nevi, the floor is yours.
Okay, wait, let me prepare the slides. Has the slides already presented in your screens?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to Mr. Haris Setiajit, my undergraduate thesis advisor, my friends in research seminar class of Sanata Dharma University, and the honorable audience. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tarani Nevi Permatasari, and I'm currently in my 7th semester of English Letters of Sanata Dharma University. Here, I'm going to present the findings on my research entitled The Strategies Applied in Contemporary Indonesian Poetry, poem collection by Harry Aveling, with special reference to Bayangan by Ayub Rosidi. Okay. Language has taken an act as the prominent role in human communication. Every country has its own characteristics in their languages when they try to communicate with one another. People can communicate their ideas, their emotions, and also opinions using a tool called language. In order to expand opinions from another culture, another country, there is an activity that is acting as the bridge to overcome that situation. This activity is called translating, which involves the translation from one language to another. Translation covers objects such as the news articles and also reports. Besides covering those, translation also covers objects such as literary work. Many people would agree that translating a literary work can be a challenge because the original author tends to put meaning behind the work they created. Literary work should be expressive, and the author often puts aesthetic elements to convey the message or the image that they want to create to the reader's mind. Let's move to the research question. The research question is, what strategies are applied by Harry Aveling in translating Bayangan by Ayub Rosidi into image? And the research objective is, this study is going to analyze the strategies used by Harry Aveling in translating Bayangan by Ayub Rosidi into image. Since this study is analyzing a literary work, as the researcher, I decided to use André Lefebvre's theory on literary translation. André Lefebvre has proposed 7 strategies concerning about poetry translation. The elaboration of the strategies will be discussed as follows. The first one is phonemic translation. This strategy aims to reduplicate the ST sound in the TT and creating an acceptable and equivalent paraphrase at the same time. And then literal translation. This type of strategy can also be defined as word-for-word translation, translating the ST word comparatively instead of presenting the meaning or the original work using words that sound natural in the target language. And then the third strategy is metrical translation. This type of strategy provides the faithfulness of the ST meter with the TT meter. However, the result of the translation in terms of meaning and structure may be a little bit inappropriate. And then the next one is poetry into prose translation. This type of strategy aims to reduplicate the ST poem into different genre of literary work, which is prose. The elements of the ST poem, such as the rhyme and the meter, will be ignored in the result. And then blank or free verse translation. This type of strategy aims to not produce a rhyme translation, but to find a proper equivalence in the target language, along with a proper semantic result. And then rhyme translation. This type of strategy requires the translated version, the target text, to reproduce the rhyme from the source text in order to keep the poetic effect. The last one is interpretation translation. This type of strategy aims to make a complete change of form. When the translator chose to interpret the ST, it may result to paraphrasing the original lines of the poem and produce a new poem which depends on the content of the ST. The translator can also differentiate the form only and keep the sense of the original work. Let's move to the methodology. The data that is being analyzed contain two languages, Indonesia as the source text, the poem Bayangan by I. Prosidi, and Image, the poem Bayangan that is translated by Harry Eveling. In collecting and analyzing the data, the researcher applied these following steps. The first one is choosing. Among so many poems that is presented in contemporary Indonesian poetry poem collection book, the researcher chose Bayangan because the meaning of this poem about loneliness introduced the researcher to conduct this study. And next one is reading. Through comprehension in reading the poem has to be reached. By that reasoning, the researcher has to read the poem first, the two poems, and try to compare it with the translated version. And then analyzing. The next step is analyzing, which is going to be conducted using André Lefebvre's theory on literary translation. Before we move to the analysis, this is the example of the code. 1 stands for the number of the whole data. So it will be continuous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and etc. And then ST stands for the source text, Bayangan by I. Prosidi. And then TT stands for the target text, the translated version, Image by Harry Eveling. And then L1, L stands for the line, and 1 stands for the number of the line. And then Z1, Z stands for the number of stanza, and 1 stands for the number of stanza. Okay, this is the result of the tentative analysis. 67% of it has applied free translation strategy, while the other 33% is applying the interpretation translation strategy. Okay, the first analysis. The datum is categorized as free translation strategy. The example can be seen from the translation of Bayanganmu, that is translated into your face. Bayangan, according to the Kamus Besar Bahasa Indonesia or Indonesia Comprehensive Dictionary, means bayang-bayang, or in English, it can be translated literally into shadow. In this case, it is translated into face instead. Face, according to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, means the front part of head that in human extends from the forehead to the chin, include the mouth, nose, cheeks, and eyes. Also, there is an addition, I see, and the possessive pronoun my on my plate. And it can be concluded that Eveling chose to translate Bayangan into face in order to clarify or emphasize the feature of this particular object that the character imagined seeing. The translated version is emphasized that this character of I is always looking at this particular figure in every object, like on the plate, on the wall, and the two lines share the same meaning from the source language and target language. And then also free translation. The datum is also categorized as free translation because of this example. Pada langit, which is translated into in the air. Langit, according to the KBBI, means ruang luas yang terbentang di atas bumi, tempat beradanya bulan, bintang, matahari, dan planet yang lain. Or in English, it can be translated literally into sky. Air, according to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, means the mixture of invisible, odorless, tasteless gases, such as nitrogen and oxygen, that surrounds the earth. Pada langit, awan, kemanapun aku berpaling. This line refers to the previous line that the character is always looking at the particular figure in every object, as well as in the sky, or whenever he or she looks at. When langit is translated into air in this context, it can create an acceptable translation because according to the scienceworld.com, as humans, we are constantly surrounded by lots of and tiny invisible air particles. If we try to connect the characteristic of air and what this line is trying to tell us, the translated version in the air, on the clouds, wherever I look, is also trying to tell us that this character is like surrounded, it's like haunted by the image of this particular figure, like the way air surrounds human beings. The example shows that Evelyn applied the blank or free translation strategy because there are words that are translated differently yet still carries the same meaning conveyed by the original author. And then translation using interpretation. This line is an interpretation because the translator chose to interpret the line rindu yang berupa suatu kebenaran into desire shaping into truth. This came out as interpretation because the translator did not literally translate rindu into longing or yearning, but he chose to paraphrase rindu into desire. Rindu, according to the Kamus Besar Bahasa Indonesia, means sangat ingin dan berharap benar akan sesuatu. It means a strong desire, a strong urge of humans to something. Desire, according to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, means to long or hope for, or in other words, to express a wish for. There is another paraphrase in this line, berupa, that is translated into shaping by the translator. Berupa, according to the Kamus Besar Bahasa Indonesia, means yang berbentuk sebagai, or in the form of something. In the translated version, it is paraphrased into shaping, which, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, means to adapt in shape so as to fit neatly and closely. It can be concluded that in the original version, Prosody wants to say that the longing feeling or desire is the truth of what the character actually feels. But in the translated version, the desire is still shaping into another form. The desire becomes the truth slowly, and the translated paraphrase the meaning of this line, and that is the reason why it can be concluded. It can be defined as interpretation translation. Okay, the next one. The interpretation translation strategy is again applied by Harry Eveling. It can be seen in the paraphrase of tahun-tahun pun akan sepi berlalu into the future looms lonely. Tahun, according to the KBBI, means masa yang lamanya 12 bulan. And in English, it is a period of 12 months long. In this line, the period is in plural in Indonesia because there is a repetition of word tahun, tahun-tahun. The translator paraphrased tahun-tahun into the future, which according to Merriam-Webster means time that is to come. The translator, instead of translating the tahun-tahun into like years ahead literally, chose to interpret it into future. Also, akan sepi is translated into looms lonely. Akan, according to the Kamus Besar Bahasa Indonesia, means hendak, or in English, will. Meanwhile, looms, according to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, means to take shape as an impending occurrence. In the original version, I proceeded once to tell the readers that the years ahead will go by in loneliness. In the translated version, the future will looms lonely, or the future will like appear lonely. The translator paraphrased the meaning to be more understandable to the target language reader. Therefore, it is called as interpretation translation. So, from the elaboration of the analysis, it can be concluded that Harry Eveling applied two strategies in translating the selected lines of the poem Bayangan by Aprosidi into image, which are the blank free first translation and interpretation. Because this research is still in progress, therefore the expected result is that the strategy that will frequently applied in translating the poem is blank or free first translation, because the researcher found some other words in some other lines of the poem that are translated differently with the original. Further elaboration of it will be presented in the final paper or the undergraduate thesis. I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for the attention.
Okay, Nafi, thank you for the presentation. Now we have 20 minutes for question and answer session. Judges, you may deliver your question again. For judges group 3, you may deliver your question.
So I want to ask, in your opinion, in what case you will choose to use interpretation translation instead of free translation? Like which one is more accurate? Because I think in your data hari ini tidak pernah ada. I think it also can be translated into free translation using free translation strategy. Thank you.
I would like to answer Kezia's question. So, as the translator, if I want to create a new poem depending only on the content of the TT, I would choose interpretation. I think in terms of the accuracy, blank or free first translation provides the most accurate equivalence, because the translator should take an effort to find words to emphasize the meaning that is originally conveyed by the author. And yeah, I think, does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for Kezia and Nevi. We will continue to the second question from the judges. Kenny and Ilham, you may deliver your question.
Hi, Nafi.
Hi. Hi.
Thank you for your presentation. In the slide 16, how to relate bayangan and face like you explained in the slide 17.
Okay, let me present the screen once more. What slide? I'm sorry. Pardon me. Wait. Slide 17, correct?
16.
Oh, 16, okay. This one, yeah.
Yes. How can you relate bayangan and face?
Okay, so I think ways to relate bayangan is like for example this one in this line it is in this context it seems like the character of I is always looking at the image, the bayangan of this particular figure in every object. And in the translated version, it is emphasized by using face, and it's like when the image of the feature of this particular figure is always haunting this character, something like that. You understand my explanation, Kenny?
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kenigo and Nevi. We'll move to the next question, or the last question from the judges from Group 3. Ilham, you may deliver your question.
Yeah, wait. So I want to ask about the literally translation point D.
Okay.
So it is said that in translation from poetry to prose, the elements of the ST poem such as rhyme and meter will be ignored in the result. So what I'm gonna ask is that is it will not affect the original meaning of the ST in the TT.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question, Ilham. So I think the disposal of the rhyme and the meter in the translated version based on the poetry into prose translation will not affect the meaning originally intended by the author of the poem, because the rhyme along with the meter are an expressive and aesthetic elements, the beauty of the poem. So when a translator chose to apply the poetry into prose translation strategy, the meaning won't be affected, but the ones that will be affected is the beauty and the aesthetic elements of the poem. Does it answer the question?
I see. Okay,
Okay,
that's
thank
answer
you.
my question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Ilham and Nevi. And we will move to the individual question in the chat Zoom. We have one question from Yvonne Seran. And her question is, why the translation injects different equivalent words for bayangan or image and bayanganmu or your face? And these both have the same main word bayangan. The difference is the second have affix nu. And based on your perspective and the theory you're using, could you please explain? Thank you. And Nevi, you may answer on the question right away.
Wait, let me present the screen once more. Okay. Yvonne, could you please explain more about the questions, because I don't really get what you were asking?
Okay, so Nevi, could you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, the title of the talk is bayangan that translate into image. And then
Okay.
another second in your wait. In your face bottom, that bayanganmu is transferred to your face.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically the word is bayangan. But the only difference is in the your bathroom that bayangan it has the graphics more. So um wait. So I mean like based on your perspective and as well your review, how could I mean like the same words have different equivalent to describe the meaning? Is that clear or I make you confused?
I'm actually a little bit confused because your voice is not clear at some points, and yeah.
Uh, oh, me, I have unstable internet connection, so you can just read the chat, read from the chat if and just tell me in what part you are confused. I will reply from the chat maybe.
Okay. Why the translator engage? You mean bayangan? What do you mean by bayangan? Is the title,
Yes.
the title of the translated version?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, this one is, I think, not really related because the bayangan is the title and the bayanganmu is what I proceed wants to say, and I think it is not uh, related because bayangan is the image and bayangan is the title. Oh, I mean your what you were asking is image and your face, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, why not face but why image?
I mean like the translator can use like your image.
Okay. Yeah, I mean maybe because this poem is generally talk about the image that always haunts the character. So from the title, I proceeded chose image instead of your face in translating bayangan. But it is emphasized again in the lines, something like that. Does it answer the question?
Yeah, I think it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ifonda and Nevi. Is there any individuals who wants to deliver their question? Okay, because there is no more question. Thank you, Nevi, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome the last presenter for today's conference, Septian Ridho Suwarna from Universitas Sanata Dharma, presenting his case about the importance of rendering emotion and expression through consecutive interpreting and translating service and the Indonesian Reverse Roleplay 2015 YouTube video. Septian, you may presenting your case now. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Nafi, for your introduction. So, my name is Septian Ridho, and today and this morning, I would like to present to you about my research. That is what mentioned by Nafi before. So, I will share my screen first. So as you can see, my research will be talking about the importance of rendering emotion and expression through consecutive interpreting, especially in interpreting and translating service and see Indonesian Reverse Roleplay 2015 YouTube video. So first thing first, like we talk about the background of the research for the introduction. So what we know, language is impact our daily life. Whether you are from Indonesia, you are from I mean you're Western people or Eastern people or Northern or whatever it is. So it impacts our life, people's life of any race, creed, and region in our world. Um, Language also help us to express our feeling, our desire, and even our queries about our surroundings. Uh, Words, gesture, and tone, those things are utilized in union to portray a broad spectrum of emotion. So what we know is language is also unique. Why is it unique? Because language, each language is absolutely different. It is sometimes difficult to understand because different language always have a different words, like sometimes they have a different gesture to explain, and they have different tones, like what you know in like let's take an example from the Mandarin. They have rise, low, and up and down, like something like that. um, so the difference in the language make it difficult. Sometimes it makes difficult to be understood. Yeah. So the thing is, do the difference in language makes us harder to take what it really means in terms of the idea. Do it matter? Do it matter? I mean, like uh, do it do uh, getting the real idea of the language, is that really matter? And how how comes the emotion and expression are important in the process of delivering or rendering the language from language A to language B. Let's talk. Let's go to the theories first. Well, I got maybe like three main theories. The first thing is the theory of emotion and expression, which mentioned by the Charles Darwin. So uh, Darwin mentioned that uh, the expression of emotion involves many systems, such as facial expression, behavioral response, and physical response. It includes physiological, postural, and vocal changes. While another theory mentioned by Kennedy Moore and Watson in their books, that is expression emotion, myth, realities, and therapeutic strategies. Emotion and expression is needed in order for us to for adaptation and for our survival needs, and then it helps us to perceive our world, and then also it helps us to communicate to other people. This the So from these theories that we already know that emotion and expression really help us at least to be able to communicate to people, to other people, because um, it helps us to deliver the main idea of our speech. So the next theory is about interpreting. So based on the Choi Jung-hwa, a professor from Hankook University, also a big name as an interpreter. She mentioned that uh, interpreting is something like uh, had no theories on it of its own. So to be precise, until modern times, it it only needs to transfer the idea from language A to language B. But since we are talking about interpreting itself has uh, two different types. That is simultaneous interpreting and consecutive interpreting. But in this research, we only focus on the consecutive interpreting, since consecutive interpreting has kind of delay, kind of time from the source speaker to the target speaker, because the interpreter will make a note about what they got from the target, sorry, from the source speaker, and then render it first, then transferring it to the target. So for the methodology, for the first thing that we need to know, that is the objective. What are we really looking for in this research? The first thing is the emotions, and the second is the expression. And how can we obtain all of these objective? First, we need to search. Uh, we need to search all the materials, all the point that showing us the emotion and expression that being delivered by the source speaker, interpreter, or maybe um, target speaker. And then we will analyze the the emotion and expression that they made uh, when the communication happened. So for the analysis, uh, um, since the transcript of the dialogue is too long to be written in my presentation here, you can just look at my paper that in the part of analysis. I already divided into four part. The first part is about the English speaker or the source speaker is showing that she is speaking haltingly. I mean, like there's sudden stop when she is speaking it. And then uh if you saw the video, her lips kind of parted like this, and then flatten, just flat lips. It indicates her willing her will to speak, but she cannot express that she the chance to speak, because the other speaker always pushing her so that she cannot speak what she really wanted. So and then she has kind of a lower eyebrow. So the type of eyebrow that you made when you are feeling sad or being pressed. And then uh, wait, and a lower tone. So in the video, like she speaks in a lower tone, so it indicates that she is being she is an inferior she is inferior than the Indonesian speaker, because Indonesian speaker always rushing things, pushing things that they think that they are right, and then the English speaker is wrong. Meanwhile, the interpreters always remain calm. She always smile, and then like sh- uh, she she gives no idea about English speaker really felt. And then uh, while the English speaker, because of the symptoms above, it indicates that she is scared, she is sad, and she is nervous. Therefore, it made the Indonesian speaker realize that um, realize that there is something wrong with this conversation, because even though she saw the speaker speak like that, but since there is a language gap between those two parties, that makes like a misunderstanding between English speaker and the Indonesian speaker. For the second part, somehow the English speaker showing that a higher tone when she is speaking. It indicates that uh, she want to emphasize something. She want to emphasize that she is right, and she wants to give explanation about what really happened. She even showed that wrinkles in her forehead, like this. If you can see, I cannot really make that kind of expression. So um, overall, it indicates that she really emphasized what she said to the Indonesian speaker, and then she is not totally wrong in that case. So next, for the third part, well, mainly in the third part is still same as the previous part, like in part one and part two. The English speaker still showing that she is sad, she is scared, and being nervous. While she is still trying to explain that she is not totally wrong, she is doing something right. But since the interpreter kind of giving a calm gesture and calm speech, therefore the Indonesian speaker does not really understand what the English speaker really means. For the fourth part, uh, the English speaker shown that there is a change in her lips. From the parted and flattened lips, it turned out to be turned side down lips. Like she is being angry and really unhappy with the result of the interrogation. Uh, Based on the analysis above, I conclude that wait, I conclude that emotion expression is really important. So it is existent or to communicate with other people. Without the emotion and expression, there will be a misunderstanding between people, especially facial expression and tones of your voice can really determine of what really happened with you. And the idea of the interpreter here to understand the importance of emotion and expression is to make a better understanding between source speaker and target speaker. Since what we already analyzed before, the interpreters always remain calm and not really giving the real idea of the source speaker really said. It makes a misunderstanding to the target speaker, so they cannot really get what the source speaker meant. Because yeah, well, um even though I saw you talking in different language, it doesn't mean that I know what expression that you made, since there is a language gap between two of us. And of course, like, since there is a language gap, uh even though you make some kind of expression to show that you are sad, you are happy, or something, I cannot really understand, since I do not know the real meaning of your word and the real meaning of your expression. So I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Septian, for the presentation. Now we have 20 minutes for question and answer session. Judges, you may deliver your question. Judges group 3, for Kenigo, Kezia, and Ilham, you may deliver your question.
I want to ask you about something. So, can gestures be used to convey emotion from both speakers more clearly?
Okay. So can gesture be used to convey emotion from both speaker more clearly?
Yep.
So what I want to say is yes, it can. Indeed, it can. As I mentioned before, the idea of a communication is delivering the idea A to idea B, from person A to person B in communication. So the emotion and expression also included as a media to delivering this idea either idea A or idea B. So my final answer is yes, it can help to convey emotion from both speakers clearly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ilham and Septian. We will move on to the second question from the judges group 3. Kenigo and Kezia, you may deliver your question.
Hi, Ridho. Uh,
Hi.
I have already watched the YouTube video and found that the English speaker have such gesture and emotion in her delivery, and based on your conclusion, there is misunderstanding between the English speaker and the Indonesian speaker, right? Because of
Mm-hmm.
the Indonesian speaker's emotion and gesture. And my question is, uh, wait. My question is, I think everybody can see the English speaker gesture, like on how she felt sorry about the problem caused, but why the result of the interrogation is only according to the interpreter's gesture and emotion? That's it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the question. So, my explanation is since we have a language barrier, English and Indonesia, of course, the uh, Indonesian speaker, those two women cannot really understand what English speaker mean. Uh, from here, we already have a problem that is a language barrier between Indonesian and English. Even though they all see what she did in the interrogation rooms, uh, they wait, they understanding is still lacking in terms of language. Even though the Indonesian speaker saw what gestures that English speaker made or her facial expression would be, which is why it becomes the interpreter's duty to deliver all the message, including emotion and expression that is being brought by the English speaker. So the interpreters need to deliver everything, not only language but also emotion and expression from source language to target language, so both party can have the same understanding between that kind of matter. I think that is the answer. So they have the same understanding.
Okay, thank you for your explanation.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Kenigo and Septian. And we will move on to the last question from Judges Group 3. Kezia, you may deliver your question.
From the theory you use, it said that the expression of emotion involves many systems, like facial expression, behavioral response, and physical responses, which include psychological, postural, and vocal changes. Can you like give me example of behavioral response in interpreting, and is it as effective as facial expression? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So what you really ask is about behavior response, right? Um,
Yes.
okay. Uh, what we know first is there is a theory explained by the Charles Darwin. What I know about behavioral response is an action and interaction of the person to try to maintain a balance in the internal body system. Uh, if we take an example from outside the world of interpreting, like when your body is hot, then what would you do? Of course, like turning on the fan or turning on the air conditioner or even uh, took off your clothes. That is what will you do right after you feel hot. What if the temperature is really cold? Of course that you will take some jacket or sweater or even put your blanket on. That is what really mean what the definition of the behavioral response. But if we are talking about the interpreting, we are talking about communication of how people communicate. So let's take an example of how people speaking. Some people some people are speaking while playing with their hand. Some are not moving at all, and some even like moving their whole body. That is what I get from the behavioral responses. But if the question is uh, which are more effective between behavioral responses and facial expression, well, our the real answer is in my opinion is the facial expression. Therefore I only put the facial expression in my research, in my analysis, since it is more accurate than the behavioral response, since um, people do not really um, show that behavior responses too often. Even some people do not have that kind of behavioral responses. So uh, the thing is either behavioral responses or facial expression. I will take facial expression, since no matter what, people will show their face their face, and it will show the true intention of people when they are speaking. So we can read like the move of their eyebrow, their forehead, cheeks, lips, their eyes. We can read those things more easily rather than the behavioral responses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kezia and Septian. We will move to individuals who want to deliver their question. For those individuals, you may deliver your question right now. Okay, because there is no more question, thank you once again for Septian for sharing
Thank
your
you.
piece. And I will give you a little reminder for the audience from Seminar Translation. Don't forget to submit your peer grading at Belajar for today's conference. Okay, that's the end of our conference today. Thank you for the presenters and participants in joining this conference. We will meet again in the next conference next week. Thank you.
Dan berbicara seperti dulu kala, caci maki saja diriku bila itu bisa membuatmu kembali bersinar dan berbicara seperti dulu kala.